batty and she know it already. Shake a money maker, now it's raining like confetti.
Welcome to the belly of the beast, to the den of the Illuminati, home of the almighty media. That's how powerful we are, that's how influential we are, and we're not stopping anytime soon, so get used to it. This is the Black Ops division of Flow Sports. We're dropping nuclear bombs today.
Another episode of the Who's Number One podcast coming at you from the International Illuminati headquarters, like always. I got my man Corey here. Corey, what's up, brother?
Feeling good. Getting ready to kick off maybe the next season. Looking forward to ADCC trials over the next 2 weekends, too. I'm excited, man.
Yep, big year here in 2022. ADCC, Who's Number One, so much going on. We got Connor in the back there. What up, Connor? How's it going, brother?
It's going well, man. We're about to get all frozen in here in Texas, so, this is the last podcast before we're icicles.
Yep, exactly. Imminent weather warning coming down in Texas here. So who knows? This may be the last Who's Number One show ever. Of course, Michael Sears, Hollywood Mike. Where the hell's this guy at? Mike's on a business trip doing some Illuminati stuff.
He escaped to Summerland.
Yep, so he's doing his thing. Mike, he'll be back probably next week on the show, so tune into that one. We'll hear some of Mike's crazy escapades down there in Brazil for the ADCC South American Trials this weekend and next weekend. We're crowning, 5, 10, 12 champions who are going to punch their ticket to the ADCC World Championships in September. Going to be super hyped, really excited about that tournament. Of course, we got guys like Mika Galvao, Roberto Jimenez, I know the chat's favorite, Diego Pato, Isaac Bayen's is signed up, a couple other guys, right?
Yeah,
it's a big tournament.
Yeah, it's big and from top to bottom too, right? The 66 guys, there's a lot of killers. The over 99 guys, a lot of killers. Everything in between. It's going to be fun.
Heck yeah, so that's exciting. Connor, what's on your mind, man? What's anybody trickling in to the chat, to the thing? What's going on in there?
Yeah, man, we had Becerra in here. He's obviously always the first one in the doors. And I want to apologize to the YouTube community. Sometimes some of our live streams have been going early, but you can watch on the Discord for when we will let you know when they're actually going, just in case a errant live stream pops up on your YouTube and you're left hanging out in the comments. So.
Yep, trying to keep this as consistent as possible. Who's Number One? We had a sick event just a couple weeks ago. Hope you guys watched that one. We're still buzzing from that one, of course. Ty Rotolo had an incredible submission. Mikey Musameshi, he's another one who should be here on the show. Mikey's out Mikey is out in Mount Vernon training with the Daisy Fresh crew. Saw him training with Couch and everything like that. You're a big leg lock guy, right? What did you see from those guys?
Yeah, Mikey apparently is teaching everybody at the Pedigo squad his Mikey lock. I'm sure they're giving him Mountain Dew and orange chicken, and he's giving them giving them some new wave heel hooks in return.
Mikey's gonna be like a completely different person suddenly. He's gonna be the Kentucky guy. He's gonna be drinking Mountain Dew all the time. Are you trying to claim him, Connor? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, man, we've converted him. I really like the idea that this isn't like a training trip. It's just a bender that Mikey's been on since he tried his first Mountain Dew. And now he's just like all in, and they're hiding him, so he doesn't see we don't see the jittery Mikey that's coming down off his Mountain Dew kick. That's what's really happening.
I really want to do a pop culture kind of Q&A with Mikey next time around.
Yeah.
No jiu-jitsu questions, no pasta questions, only questions about movies, music, relevant topics.
Oh, Steve, rally the troops for us, man.
Yeah. Maybe next week we can get that going. Get a sick Q&A from Mikey where you're not allowed to ask him about jiu-jitsu. You're not allowed to ask him about Italian food.
Yeah. And if he doesn't decide to join us for it, we can just take the whole show next week to spread libelous rumors about him. And he'll just have to deal with the consequences.
Yep. He'll be excited about that. So that should be fun. Tune in next week to find out which one it is. But we're going to take this week here, kind of watch a couple matches. Like we were talking about the ADCC trials coming up here. One of the big matches I think that we're kind of like maybe crossing our fingers that could happen is Roberto Jimenez versus Mika Galvao, right? That's on the table potentially?
Yeah, I would love to see that as a final, but really if it happens anywhere in that tournament at 77, it could really give us answers to questions that have been kind of rising at the rise of Roberto in 2020, the exceptional kind of phenom that Mika Galvao has become this year. I think that's the match that everybody wants to see. I hope we get it at 77.
Yeah. Connor, of course, we've had Roberto and Mika Galvao on the Who's Number One stage multiple times, but who tickles your fancy there between the two of those guys? Wow. Who do you like watching?
I love watching both. I'm a big fan of Mika whenever he's firing off. I think watching him, was it Nogi Brown Belt Worlds? Mm-hmm. Maybe my favorite Mika of all time. Just going out there and like throwing shit up, out of nowhere, off of the takedowns. I think we saw a little bit of a slowing down in his game, and that's obviously like Who's Number One opponents are a little bit, the next step above as far as skill level, and you have to show them a little bit more respect for their game. But Mika, whenever he's turning it on, is one of my favorite athletes to watch in jiu-jitsu, bar none.
Here's what I love about this potential match, too, and I hope it happens because we know a lot about both these athletes, right? We know that Roberto's kind of a wild man. He's just going to throw everything he can at Mika. Mika's a lot more of a counter fighter, right? So judging based on their two styles, I expect to see a lot of attacks from both of them because Roberto's going to come out swinging, because Mika's going to wait for his opportunity. He's going to have plenty with what Roberto may give him. Yeah,
that's what everybody loves about Roberto. Dude just goes out, swinging for the fences, kind of from moment one. But who knows what's going to happen? That 77 kilogram division down there in Brazil is crazy. You got Servio Tullio, I think like guys like Lucas Bertazio are in there. So plenty of spoilers in there in that division. So who knows? I know we're going to see plenty of good matches out there. But let's watch a couple of these matches, though. We pulled up a couple matches. We're going to kind of play a couple of our favorite matches from the from past Who's Number One. Whichever one we have right here, Tyler, we can play. If it's Roberto. Yeah, here we got Roberto versus Cade Rotolo. Wow. This one of the best matches of the entire year. Pumped to kind of watch this one back a little bit, actually. Cade, grappler of the year. Roberto, had a great year, very active year. He had some losses, but he had some losses to the best in the world. This was definitely one of his biggest wins. What do you remember most about this matchup, Corey?
If you remember, too, let's set the stage a little bit, because Cade wasn't supposed to be in this match. It was actually Wiltsey, right? Wiltsey pulled out last minute, and Cade, I think Cade stepped right up. This armbar is actually one of the things that sticks out most to me, because this is something, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but this is an armbar that I've seen from Mika Galvao time and time again. So It was crazy watching them, watching Cade hit that attack. He hit the same one on Ethan.
Wow, that step over armbar, he's so quick with it. Yeah, he stepped over for in that same match with Ethan. Man, these two guys, I could watch these two guys grapple every single weekend. Two of the most exciting competitors in the sport, obviously. Cade had a great showing here for sure. Who was your pick in this one, Connor, when we were going into it?
I was picking Roberto, and I think the kind of match played out how I expected it to a little bit. I mean, obviously, like both guys firing off, but it seems like Roberto's stepped into his man strength just like maybe a year, 2 years before the Ruotolos did.
Yeah.
And I think, the bigger Cade gets, he's been bulking up a little bit, it seems. The bigger Cade gets, the more exciting this match is going to be. And, from 6 months from now, if we saw this match, it could be wildly different than the Road to ADCC match. So super exciting.
Yeah, of course, this was a Road to ADCC, not necessarily Who's Number One. So slightly different kind of rules here. But, luckily we didn't need points to decide this one. We didn't need anything, any judges or anything like that, because both these dudes threw down.
This match was such a tornado, right? Look at all the number of times the dominant position changes, and the guy on top or the guy in the dominant position decides, enough of this, let's go for something. Let's try and attack with something.
Yeah.
The dominant position meant as close to nothing as possible in this match.
I love Roberto going for leg locks here. Obviously that's kind of, at this point, is common knowledge in the jiu-jitsu community. That's what everybody says, that the knock on Roberto is his leg lock game. Clearly, he's trying to shore it up a little bit. He's trying to attack offensive leg locks in this match. But also, too, Cade. It's like, I remember when those guys first went to ADCC trials back in 2019 or 2018, I think, and they both got leg locked. I'm pretty sure in the trials, and now they just look impossible to leg lock. It's crazy.
Yeah, and they didn't get leg locked by nobodies, right? Cade, I think, lost to Nicky Ryan, and Roberto, I think he was leg locked by Thor. But yeah, they're both kind of patching those games up, but especially the Rotolos they've developed this system that has made them not just hard to leg lock, but it makes leg locking them kind of a threat, right? You don't want to attack their legs because what they have on the back end of that is so threatening. They can take your back, they can pass your guard, they can throw a darce.
Yeah, we just saw Levi versus Ty at the last Who's Number One, and Levi went for some offensive heel hooks and almost got boloed off of it a couple times. So yeah, you can see those guys are looking for all types of counters to those leg locks. What do you think, Connor?
Man, I was looking at this highlight earlier for Instagram because I'm just a gremlin on Instagram most of the time. But I was watching, it was maybe a sweep that just happened actually. But it seemed like Roberto he was long enough to like sink that leg in all the way from guard, just all the way around the back, and always threaten a back take. No matter where he was, where it seems like they're squared up in guard and you're not really in danger. I don't know if it's just the size advantage, but, man, Roberto seemed like he was all over the place, hard to control. Shout out to Cade for taking this match and for performing so well.
Yeah, I think Roberto was like in bottom side control and just does like the Derek Lewis kind of just stand up from side control type of defense, and then just like got his hook in, and you're just like, what? How did that happen?
Well, and this is the thing that I see as kind of like the new age of the elite level grapplers, right? It's like the Cades and the Robertos and the Ty Rotolos and the Mika Galbaos of the world. There is no like static positioning. There's no, all right, we're going to hang out here for it's, you know that Cade's darce is coming. You know that Ty's darce is coming. You know that Mika's armbar, Roberto's back take is coming. But they're just going to spam it from every position while the other person is spamming their attack. So it's just like this flurry of attack from both athletes that we see in the best of the best, right? We see the best leg lockers constantly pursuing leg locks, and the best back takers always
from every position.
Yeah, exactly. And there's never a stopping point.
Yeah, and I don't think we can ignore. Let's call out the Ruotolos in Mexico this week. Sarah was talking about them in the comments, them being on the back of that little scooter driving through.
That was a hilarious video.
Well, those guys have to live the coolest lives I've ever seen.
Believe me, I have gone out to California and done the content trips and stuff like that, and you don't feel cooler than when you are riding in a truck with Ty and Cade Rotolo going to the skate park or going to the beach so you can see how the waves look. Like, you just feel so cool riding around with these guys in Southern California, shirts off, no shoes. They're just like, whatever, brah. Like, it's just like, man, I've made it. This is really, I'm cool.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is kind of the beginning of the end. The pace kind of started. They had such a furious pace for the first 10 minutes of this match, and that's kind of the strategy, I feel like, for both these guys, is to just go, and see who kind of stops first, who quits first, who runs out of gas first.
And that's the threat with doing it, Roberto, because if your gas tank happens to run out first, which for most athletes, they can't keep up with Roberto for that long, if you just start spamming stuff off the bat, eventually he'll crash down with that heavy top pressure, and it's hard to get out, man.
Yeah. Do the people, maybe you can ask the chat, do the people miss Roberto Jimenez? We haven't seen Roberto in a little bit. I'm always so hyped to see Roberto. Shout out to Roberto Jimenez. Glad that he's coming back. He's in Brazil. He's out there competing. Jiu-jitsu is better when Roberto Jimenez is on the mats, for sure. So really excited to see him back in action.
Absolutely. Got to give him a shout out too. He won the Rio Summer Open just back this weekend on Sunday with 4 submissions in 4 matches. So he's looking good. He's looking primed and ready for ADCC trials, right? Which that's what you want to come into trials off of, is a 4 submission win weekend.
Absolutely. So he's been working, taking these South American trials seriously. Of course, Roberto is Ecuadorian as well, so that's why he's able to do the South American trials down there in Brazil.
I would love for the next Who's Number One. Can we get one of you guys to follow Roberto around for his backstage warm-up routine? Because I don't know if we've ever made that a part of the event, but it is as much of part of the event as any of the fights are. Like he's singing, he's going crazy back there. I think
Roberto gets into the right headspace when he's in competition mode. You know, he's a different guy. So here's the kind of end. I missed the kind of back take, but I'm sure it was super slick. Mo Jassam down there, of course, in Brazil as well. Hal and Michael, some other guys down there hanging out, watching the Brazilian trials. So a lot of content going to be coming out here. Keep your eye on the website here this weekend, next week. Going to have a lot of cool highlights, a lot of cool interviews and stuff from all of the trials winners. Like I said, big year, ADCC. This is where it all starts.
Yeah, man. I think the cool thing is, like, obviously it's fun to see him in trials, but I don't think anyone would be surprised if someone said Roberto has an ADCC invite. I think if there's anyone that's earned it within the last few years, Roberto may be the guy.
Yep, absolutely. He's out there killing it nonstop. So there you have it. That's a sick match, man. Roberto versus Cade, one of the best from Who's Number One, or one of the best from 2021 on FloGrappling. And then, let's just jump right in here. We've been talking a lot about Roberto versus Mika Galvao. We just watched the Roberto match. So here's from Who's Number One Championships. This is I believe this is the semifinals. There you go. Middleweight semifinal. Mika Galvao versus the Hillbilly Hammer, Jacob Couch. Your boy, Connor. Yeah, how are you feeling about this matchup going into it?
Dude, super sick. Honestly, like, coming off of Jacob Couch's win over Roberto, there was nothing that could bring him down, it seemed like. And even though this one didn't go his way, he was still seemed to be riding pretty high after it. It was fun to watch. That whole weekend was absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, huge win for Jacob Couch to go out there and beat Roberto Jimenez by heel hook at the Who's Number One Championships. Did you feel like this might have been Couch's day? Could have done it?
I feel like after the win over Roberto, it was his day no matter what, regardless of the outcome of this match. Mika Galvao, up until this point, had just looked incredible, not just at the Who's Number One Championships. He beat William Tackett in the match before this in the quarterfinals, but Who's Number One in general, right? He beat Andrew Tackett. He beat Oliver Taza. He was just looking unstoppable, really. Like his strategy, his pace, the way he moves have made him just so dominant against anybody who's really just not right up there at his level with him. And even I was surprised at what he was able to do to William Tackett. Andrew Tackett, I thought, might be a little too young, a little too inexperienced to hang with Mika. But William, I expected it to be a little more competitive.
William's a strong guy. He's physical.
And naturally bigger than Mika, you know?
Tall, a little taller. But, man, Mika became such a big star. Why do people love this guy so much? How did he become such a big star?
I mean, he's always had that stardom in Brazil, right? And I can't figure out exactly where it comes from. I'm sure there's a story to it, but just I think he won a blue belt double Grand Slam, a purple belt double Grand Slam, right? He's just been insatiable since the time he was a kid.
Yeah, and I wonder how his leg lock game is. He's so physical, explosive. I feel like Couch wasn't really able to get into where he wanted to be, but I do wonder if somebody's able to get a bite on his leg, how he defends that. What do you think about Mika Galvao, Connor?
Dude, just absolutely explosive. There's not really many people that are more exciting to watch when he does put it on. But again, sometimes he slows it down, and which is fun, because I watch a lot of jiu-jitsu and I can at least follow some of it, but you got to hope we don't get too many of the matches where he slows it down and takes away from the excitement that he really brings. Because few people can do it like him. I mean, the guy can wrestle, the guy can counter wrestle, the guy can counter leg locks. He seems to pretty much have it all. You put him at a higher weight class, he bulks up massive. I don't know how many of the bigger guys can hang with him either.
From Manaus out there in Brazil. You see Couch is going for some entries there.
I want the monster of Manaus nickname to stick. I want something with alliteration for him, Mika, the monster from. That's what I'm gunning for.
That's a sick nickname. Did you make that up?
I keep throwing it out on Instagram, just hoping it sticks. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm on board with it. I'll start using that. That sounds cool. Monster of Manaus. What a badass. I feel like, a lot of his stardom might have come from like those blue belt versus black belt matches too, like green belt versus black belt. Like he had a bunch of those, I feel like, when he was kind of coming up in Brazil and everything like that, because he was so good at such an early age, so he had to fight black belts. And then he submitted black belt. He was submitting black belts in like 30 seconds or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. And that was at the very beginning of last year. He had a dominant looking guillotine win over, I can't remember who it was. I don't want to guess wrong, but
yeah.
But this is exactly the point, right? Look at him looking for that armbar from everywhere.
Yeah, he almost had it there for a second. Yeah. He was looking for it.
And that's really that's his setup on a lot of the finishes he's successful with.
This armbar setup?
Yeah, and it's always kind of as a counterattack, right? He's gonna start baiting Couch to attack more and get more aggressive, and there it is.
He just launches himself into it.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Is it like
it's a hard angle to keep the armbar at right there too.
It looks almost like the rolling Kimura motion, but what's he doing that's different there?
I would love to pick his brain on when he jumps, what are the key? Because it looks like you're right. It looks like he's just kind of flying, squirreling Couch, right?
Tyler, any chance we could scrub it back to see that again? Sick.
Dude, Tyler's the best.
Yeah, lightning quick armbar. And Couch is the man, of course. He had a great win against David Garmo at the last. Who's number one? He's on a tear. Sky's the limit for Couch as well, man. He's a young guy, still a brown belt, still has a lot to accomplish in his jiu-jitsu career. So what is he waiting for him to post on the? Oh, geez.
It's waiting for him to grab the ankle,
to grab the collar tie.
And then he just jumps on it.
Yeah,
it looks tight. You can tell.
I'm only doing that from now on. that buggy chokes and what's my other one? Darce's hype beast.
He stands up, puts the collar tie.
God, our producer's so professional.
Yeah, I'm doing some slow-mo here. And then
it's a collar tie underhook, right?
Man. And just refuses to let go. My question is, how do you keep the grip so tight?
Yeah, it's a weird angle to keep the armbar right there.
And then he's also he continues to climb past the guard once he gets the arm control, because he's not all the way there yet.
I did talk to Couch briefly about this match, and he just said that Mika is so unbelievably strong. And that's coming from the Hillbilly Hammer. I mean, Couch is no slouch himself, but
I heard the same
he's
thing
got some
from,
freakish strength.
Yeah.
From Levi, I think I asked him before his match against Ty, which is what's it like rolling? I think maybe it was Espen, maybe it was both. I can't remember. I asked one of the two of them what it was like rolling with Mika. They both said the same thing, that he's so strong.
Really?
Yeah.
Doesn't look. I mean, he looks physical. He's young. He doesn't look too crazy though. He doesn't.
You think you could take him in an arm wrestling match?
No, I don't. Let's be realistic here. But all right, let's make some predictions here. They're real quick. So if we're talking about, we see in the finals 77 Roberto Jimenez versus Mika Galvão this weekend, possibly at the ADCC Brazilian Trials. Who you taking?
In the regular. Okay, in the first period, right before points.
Because the first period is kind of submission only, no points.
I have Mika. In the points period, I have Roberto. Yeah.
Why is that?
I think.
But it's a 6-minute match, right?
Yeah, I still think Roberto's got maybe not better, but more aggressive wrestling. Mika's got a very, very counter-oriented game, and I think if it comes to points, it comes to a wrestling exchange, Roberto can walk him down.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And Roberto's so long. It's hard to wrestle with a guy whose wingspan is, I don't know. Maybe he's not that long and he just feels that way or looks that way. But, man, that's a hard thing to get past.
What are you taking, Connor?
I will say I got to go Mika. If it comes down to a strategy tactician, where he has to slow it down, I think he's shown that he can do that. But I think he's going to win it. Obviously, much love to Roberto, but it seems like Mika's just had everyone's number recently.
Yep, Mika on the come up for sure. I am going to take Roberto Jimenez, though. I think Roberto's just he's primed for a spot there at ADCC. I think he's earned it. I think he's one of the best in the world. So he can beat anybody any day. Mika match is going to be a tough one. Ain't going to be easy. That's for darn sure. But I'll take Roberto in that. Punches his ticket to ADCC. We'll see.
I get too hung up on jiu-jitsu math, you know? I see Jacob Couch take out Roberto. I see Mika take out Jacob Couch. I start doing really, really bad arithmetic, man.
Yeah. That's how I am just at regular arithmetic, though. So
no arm bars involved.
yeah. What's going on in the chat? Anybody talking about anything cool? What do they think about these matches? What do they think about Roberto versus Mika?
Yeah, I don't think we have too many predictions for it. They were kind of just watching along with us, but someone brought out Sauerkraut, my guy. He said he wants to see Roberto Jimenez versus the Wizard, Andrew Wiltsey. Daisy Fresh Wizard. I think we're going to have to wait a little bit for that. I know Wiltsey's been on the recovery circuit trying to get back into training as much as possible, but that would be a super fun one down the line.
Yeah, that's what it was supposed to be originally on Rotate ACC, right?
Yeah, and those guys have a long history, right? Their history goes back to, I think, Royal at Blue Belt. So
Even further, it goes back to Green Belt.
All right.
Yeah, they fought a Green Belt, they fought a Blue Belt.
They've been around, but would definitely like to catch up with what that matchup, that rivalry, if you want to call it that, looks like now.
Yep. Shout out to Andrew Wiltsey too. Saw him training there with Mikey. Hopefully we'll get Andrew Wiltsey back on this Who's Number One stage. A fan favorite, one of our favorites. So plenty of big matches for Andrew Wiltsey when he does make his triumphant return to the Who's Number One stage. Can't wait for that. Let's watch one more match though while we're here. We were talking about this earlier. We were talking about Kolabate.
Look at that kid.
So I thought it'd be kind of funny. You know, he's surging right now. He's on the radar of everybody in the jiu-jitsu community. So I thought maybe it'd be a good kind of throwback to throw back kind of Cole's earlier days. This is I think 2018 maybe. Where Cole.
This is 2018?
I believe this is 2018.
Jeez.
I could be wrong though. Fight to Win 121. This is in Austin here. And this is, Cole, of course, is from the San Antonio area, I believe. He's from Texas here, so we used to see Cole all the time. Now he trains out there in AOJ with some of the best guys in the world. He's a killer. He had a great performance at Who's in One Championships. He punched his ticket to ADCC trials. So I wanted to kind of maybe bring back a throwback to a little young Cole here, little young savage Cole.
Yeah, it looks like this could be 7 years ago. Just remember Kolabate is 16 years old still, right? But still, an absolute killer. This is just kind of like the Kolabate in the making, right? And I don't know if. Maybe I was a little bit late to the party here, but when did you realize Cole was going to be just the guy?
Man, like he's been unique since day one for sure. Because he fought a bunch on Fight to Win. I remember when we were kind of like going up, and he was always kind of one of the first matches. Yeah, I remember he had like an orange belt match. And I'm pretty sure he had like a green belt match, and it was just like so clear he was so much better than like all the kids basically, so it was just like, man, eventually we're going to see somebody kind of at his level, but it's probably not going to be until several years from now. And here, fast forward to 2022, we saw guys who are close to his level, but even still he's blowing these guys out of the water.
Yeah, just kind of as a reminder of the people he was able to get through at ADCC trials, right? Like Esteban Martinez, John Kallenstein, Keith Krikorian. I'm leaving off the first day and a half, but like
even just those three
right.
is absolutely insane that he went out and beat all those guys.
Any parent that puts their child up against Kolabate, they should have CPS called on them. That's just abuse, man. Yeah.
So you can see even back here a couple of years ago, he's still a young kid. He's always been, man, the nicest kid. He's so humble and well-mannered kid. Always calls me sir and mister and everything like that, just like the Tackets. Mm-hmm. Good Texas boys. So even you can see, even as a kid here, he's just so high level compared to...
And professional, too. Like there's so many athletes that are even in their 20s and 30s that don't train as professionally as this teenager trains.
Yeah.
They don't treat their training the same way that I think every professional athlete should. And if you want to see an example of like a good professional athlete, watch what Kolabate does.
Yeah, him and his dad, and of course with the help of Guy Mendez and AOJ, it seems like they've really dialed in. And man, I would not be surprised if Cole takes away the gold medal at ADCC World Championships.
Absolutely wild.
He is that good, and obviously he's got a lot to accomplish and he's got a lot of work to do from now until then. But make no mistake, man, this guy's one of the best.
How old do you think? What's the age that Kolabate became just like unbeatable for you? Like if you had to face 12-year-old Cole Abate, do you think you could take him?
I think if I faced 8-year-old Cole Abate, I could take him.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe not too much beyond that.
I don't know. When we were out there for AOJ for Road to Worlds and we saw some of those orange belts training, I was like, I don't know, man. I might be able to like hold you over my head, and that's about the only way I win.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Spikes. I'm going fight to win slams if I got to face
Yeah.
8-year-old Cole Abate. That's a sacrificial lamb right there.
No, 8-year-old Cole Abate could totally
Beat me up.
could totally barambolo all of us,
Yeah.
probably. Like, yeah, he's legit. This was back when he was training with Rodrigo Pinheiro and Hiva in San Antonio.
And don't forget, he was on our first ever gi, who's number one. I don't know if he was actually fighting in the gi, but he was out there when we first kicked it all off. We did a little press conference, and his opponent, I actually love the kid Sebastian, real good guy, but he was like trying to make his name, kind of spitting a little bit on the mic against Cole, and then Cole went out there and just flying triangled him immediately, jumped past his guard, ended it within 30 seconds. I think that was the last time anyone saw Cole against a kid and was like, "This is fair."
Yeah, I think, I'm pretty sure it was in the gi, right? Yeah, and then he went on and had a fight with Ned Johnson on who's number one. Finished a toe hold pretty quickly on that one, if I remember, and then had the Bird Wiltsey fight, and that was a triangle arm bar.
With Bird bleeding out of his mouth, the most savage photo in jiu-jitsu history.
Yeah,
and I really think after who's number one championships, right? After the win over Gio Martinez, after the close decision to Gabriel Souza, there's no match really for Cole Abate that isn't with a top-level black belt. I mean, and you can double down on that after what he looked like at ADCC trials. He submitted or demolished everybody who wasn't a recognizable name, right? And beat pretty badly even the guys who were.
Yeah, man. Keith Krikorian is as good as they come in that division, and he's been to the ADCC trials finals, multiple times before, so he knows what it takes to win that tournament, and for Cole to kind of upset him like that was crazy. I wasn't expecting that.
Keith Krikorian, just for context, I don't know the exact number, but it's something like 18 matches at ADCC trials, and he's won 15 of them by decision or something like that. It's a wild margin. Every match he hasn't lost at ADCC, I believe, every match he hasn't lost at trials, he's won by submission.
Dang, what a murderer. And we were talking about rematches earlier. Is that one of the rematches that is kind of like top of your list at who's number one?
For me, I want to see that Gabriel Souza Cole Abate match again for sure. That's a high one up there for me.
You got a rematch, Connor, that is kind of burning that you really want to see on who's number one? We've done a bunch of good matches.
I mean, honestly, just watching it back there for a second, I think the Cade versus Roberto rematch would be really cool. I know that's a little bit of a low hanging fruit, but again, I think after a year's difference, Cade's looking even a little bit bigger than Ty sometimes. I'll always be excited about that one.
Yeah, like I said, I could literally watch them run that match every single weekend, and I'll tune in for that. Of course, we got Mikey versus Gio, which is one of the most hotly anticipated rematches. Hopefully, on who's number one down the line. They had a crazy match. Armbar attempts, heel hook attempts, and then, of course, the whole kind of drama that happened afterwards. Mikey kind of demoting Gio from black belt. So a lot to unpack from that one. I think those guys still have some unfinished business, so hopefully we see that one down the line as well. But plenty of good rematches to be had.
Yeah, another one that jumps out to me is maybe not maybe not one that would be this obvious, but William Tackett versus Ty Ruotolo. Last time they fought, not taking anything away from Ty, but Tackett had just, the week before, had a match on Fight to Win with Wagner Rocha. He cut a lot of weight for that. And then he stepped up last minute to fill in for Craig Jones against Ty. So I'd like to see what that match would look like with a proper camp for William Tackett.
Yep, William's badass, always ready to step in on 1 week's notice, 2 days' notice. William's always good for that. He doesn't care. He's down to throw down. So shout out to William Tackett. What a beast.
Oh yeah.
Any last words from the chat? Anything we need to go over in the chat? Anybody got anything for us?
Yeah, actually, Becerra said he was down there getting beat up by Mikey at the Daisy Fresh crew. I think he made a trip down there and said what's up. So I just want to give him a shout out. Also, shout out Steve. He joined us a little bit late. We forgive him. You're not on our bad list yet. The Texas Zombie had a question. The Texas Zombie is the gentleman who's constantly coming after me. He's been dogging me for a while, trying to get a match with me.
You want us to get him?
Yeah, he wants the. Yeah, I may need your guys' backup, but he wants the catch wrestling champ. You know what I mean? Yeah. But he had a question. What's the weight difference between Cole versus Mika, and could that happen down the line?
Well, Cole is doing 66 kilogram, 145 pounds, and Mika is doing 77 kilograms, which is like 170 pounds. So there is definitely a little bit of a weight discrepancy there, but Cole is very young, and he's 100% going to move into that 77 kilogram division down the line, if not 88 and beyond. Who knows how big Cole is going to get? His dad's kind of a big guy. So, I don't know. That could happen, right?
Yeah, I honestly, I think given enough time, that match will happen regardless of what weight class these guys end up in.
True. They're both two of the best in the world. These guys tend to cross paths somewhere down the line.
Sauerkraut brought up also, as far as rematches, Kynan versus Spriggs. They want to run it back. Which, Kynan versus Spriggs, I'm kind of down for. I think Kynan came in there looking past a lot of people at WNO Championship. It seemed like he went in trying to win rather than to finish. So, maybe a little bit of a change of mindset for him going in there would be cool to see them both trying to take shots at each other.
Yeah, I don't think Kynan Duarte lets a lot of people get past him twice. Right? I think if he loses to somebody once, that's it. They're never going to beat him again. So, would love to see that.
Yeah, that was a crazy one, man, for sure. Big win for Tim. But I think Kynan maybe has to get another win on the Who's Number One stage. You mentioned that he didn't have the most exciting performance at Who's Number One Championship, so I'd like to get him back on the mats and see exactly where he is in his training and everything like that. Hopefully he's back in tip-top shape and focused on no-gi grappling, because of course he's punched his ticket to ADCC 2022 here as well. So these Who's Number Ones, we got some Who's Number Ones coming up here, so these are our great practice for ADCC later in the year. But I could see Kynan definitely fighting for a title down the line here.
Oh yeah.
Sick. All right, guys, I think that's going to do it for us for at Who's Number One. Corey, Reed, Connor, thanks for hanging out with us today. Appreciate it. We'll see y'all next week. Michael Sears will be back maybe, and we'll talk about some jiu-jitsu. See you guys.
Oh, yeah. Welcome to the belly of the beast, to the den of the Illuminati, home of the almighty media. That's how powerful we are, that's how influential we are, and we're not stopping anytime soon, so get used to it. This is the Black Ops division of Flow Sports. We're dropping nuclear bombs today.